The restaurant was buzzing with laughter, the clinking of wine glasses, and the hum of conversations. At the center table, a young woman sat nervously, fiddling with her napkin, unaware that her so-called friends had set her up for a cruel joke. Her name was Emma, a hard-working, kind-hearted woman who had been through more than her share of heartbreak. She wasn't glamorous by society's standards, no designer clothes, no expensive makeup, just a simple dress and a hopeful smile. Her friends had dared her into coming, whispering and giggling behind her back. "Let's see how long the CEO will last before running out," one of them had mocked. They thought it would be hilarious to set her up on a blind date with a man completely out of her league. What Emma didn't know was that her date was Daniel Carter, one of the city's most successful CEOs, a single father who carried himself with quiet authority. When Daniel walked in, the room seemed to shift. Tall, sharp-suited, with eyes that carried both strength and exhaustion, he looked around for his supposed date. He had agreed only because a colleague insisted it was time he moved on after years of focusing solely on his daughter. But when his gaze fell on Emma nervously chewing her lip, eyes darting as though she didn't belong, something inside him softened. She wasn't what he expected, but in a world of pretense and polish, her sincerity was disarming. Emma stood clumsily, almost knocking over her glass. "Hi. I'm Emma," she stammered, cheeks flushed. Daniel gave her a small smile, extending his hand. "Daniel, it's nice to meet you." For a moment, the cruel whispers of her so-called friends at the back table faded. He wasn't laughing at her. He wasn't mocking. He was kind. As the evening unfolded, Emma slowly began to relax. She spoke about her love for teaching, her struggles working 2 jobs, her dreams that often felt too big for her small world. Daniel listened not the way most men did, waiting for their turn to speak, but truly listened. And when she laughed, even at her own awkwardness, his lips curved into a genuine smile. But the group of women who had set her up didn't stop. They sent drinks to the table on Emma's behalf, making her blush and stumble over explanations. They even walked past, pretending to check on her, all the while snickering. Emma wanted to disappear. She excused herself to the restroom, staring at her reflection with tears brimming. "Why did I even come? Of course this is a joke. Men like him don't date women like me." When she returned, Daniel's eyes immediately found hers. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded, though her voice wavered. "I think maybe this was a mistake. You don't need to waste your evening on me." His expression hardened not at her, but at the realization of what was happening. He had noticed the group watching, laughing. He wasn't blind, but he also wasn't willing to let Emma walk away, believing she was unworthy. Daniel pushed back his chair and stood, his presence commanding silence. The restaurant grew still. Then, to Emma's utter shock, he dropped to one knee in front of her. Gasps echoed through the room. Her friends froze mid-laugh, jaws hanging open. "Emma," Daniel said, his voice steady and strong, "I know this is sudden, and maybe I'm a fool, but tonight I've seen more honesty, kindness, and beauty in you than I've seen in years of business meetings and high society events. You're real. You're someone I would be proud to stand beside. If you'll allow me, I want everyone here to know this isn't a joke. You're not a joke." Emma's heart pounded in her chest. Tears streamed down her cheeks, not from humiliation anymore, but from a sense of being seen. She whispered, trembling, "Why would you do this? You don't even know me." Daniel's gaze softened. "Because I want to. Because my daughter deserves to meet someone like you, someone who won TC. Her father is just a CEO. But as a man who wants to love again." The restaurant erupted in whispers and stunned silence. Her so-called friends turned pale, suddenly shrinking in their seats. For the first time, Emma didn't feel small. She felt worthy. She didn't say yes to the proposal that night. Instead, she smiled through her tears and said, "How about we start with dinner?" Daniel laughed, relieved, and took her hand, helping her back into her chair. That evening changed everything. Their bond didn't grow from wealth or appearances, but from honesty and respect. Over the next months, Daniel introduced Emma to his daughter, and the little girl adored her instantly. Emma, in turn, brought warmth back into Daniel's carefully guarded life. The world kept whispering, but neither of them cared anymore. What began as a cruel joke turned into a love story no one saw coming. And for Emma, It was the moment she realized that sometimes the most unexpected beginnings lead to the most extraordinary endings. The message was clear. True love doesn't measure status, looks, or wealth. It sees the heart, and when it does, it can silence even the loudest mockery.